Hey, we're here today to talk about 7 steps for new freelance copywriters. This is Tina Lorenz, your copywriting mentor, mindset shifter, and transformational business coach. And I wish I had known these 7 steps when I first got started now, but here's a little clue because what I'm going to share with you today can apply for any new online business. If you're starting a business with a product you're creating, or you want to be an online coach, or any of those things, this is also information that you should be aware of as a foundational starting point for your online business, but especially if you're a freelance copywriter. And I draw from things that I went through, things that mistakes I've made, things that were harder because I didn't know some of these things from the beginning. So today we're going to talk about how you get going with a really powerful foundation for yourself as a freelance copywriter, or actually any kind of online entrepreneur. So the first one is this: treat yourself as your first client. Now, I've often told my students and mentees in my programs that the worst client you're ever going to deal with is sitting in the chair you might be sitting in right this minute. It's yourself. And because sometimes we just lose sight of the fact, and I think I did for a long time when I first started, that I'm actually the first client, because you need to take yourself seriously. So what does that mean? What does it mean to treat yourself as that first client? Well, the first thing is, I want you to get this firmly dialed in. You're starting a business, not a hobby, because you want to build a business, one that can take you forward for years, one that can sustain you with financial security and stability, one that attracts ideal clients, one that you can grow in. And you don't do that if you treat what you're doing as the spare time activity, the hobby. Now, even if you're starting at a more of a part-time level, because maybe you've already got or still have a job, that you're kind of stuck in the cubicle right now, and you're thinking you want to make a change. Maybe you're already a professional in another field and you want to do something different now. Whatever it may be, you need to start with it as a business in your own head. All these things are part of the mindset of your journey as well, because you need to be able to create a pathway for yourself that's seriously sustainable, not just, well, I fit this in when I have time, because that will always mean that what you're doing as a quote business is taking the backseat to everything else in your life instead of becoming a priority for how you're going to do this. So so one of the things you do is you begin with the end in mind, right? I've kind of become a very masterful reverse engineer in many ways, because this is how I've created very successful marketing funnels, how I've been able to write very successful email sequences and do multi-million-dollar online launches, by beginning with the end in mind. Where are we going with this? What's our purpose? And so you need to do that for yourself. And I'm going to show you some steps today of exactly how you're going to do that. So that brings us to tip number 2, set up a way to get paid. Now, that sounds like, well, that makes sense, but that's often something that I hear from new copywriters. Well, how do I get paid, right? And so, well, this might be a little controversial, but one of the ways a lot of people start with is PayPal. And I really recommend that even if you've started that way and you've set up a business account there, do not make this the sustainable only way, the one and only major way you're going to get paid, because what you may find you get is disappointed along the way. There's many stories I've personally experienced, having PayPal suddenly decide, wow, this is a lot of money coming into your PayPal account. We think this seems odd, so we're going to freeze the funds. And they will do that. And so you want to have a way that, it's like owning the real estate of your business, owning a subscriber list, owning how you get paid. And so the way you do that is to have a business bank account. So even if you're just getting started, you need to go to whatever bank you're dealing with or find a new one and set up a business account. You want to have a business account for, hey, your business, right? And so why do you need to do that? Why not just, put the money in your account, and maybe you start thinking, I'm not that big yet, I'm not making that much money yet. I don't care. You need to set up that business account. And there's a lot of reasons to do it. You want to present to your clients as a professional. Now, how will they know you have a business account? Well, I'll get to that in just a minute. But you want to establish that. Again, a lot of these things are for your own view of what you're doing and who you are becoming, and what we're going to be doing with your business is taking yourself seriously as that first client and treating yourself with that respect and honoring what you're doing, honoring that calling that you have. You want to present as a professional in all ways. And one of the ways is you want to be able to accept wire transfers for your fees. Now, sometimes people think wire transfers, well, how does that work? Well, it does mean you're going to prepare a document for your clients that show how they can wire funds to you from their side. And that does mean you're going to share your routing number and your account number for your business account. I just want to set your mind at rest that this is not a scary thing to do. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. I started doing wire transfers and from the very beginning. Very soon after I started my business, I realized this was going to be one of the ways I wanted to get paid. It's also a very portable way to be able to get paid from wherever you are when you have your clients wire the funds. And so, and yes, the next question is, well, won't there be a fee for me? Yes, there may be a fee. It depends on where you're banking, but this is all part of being in business, right? And knowing that there are going to be some, while starting as a freelance copywriter is certainly a low resistance way to begin without having really huge output of money when it comes to things like a brick and mortar building or supplies or employees or many things that could be very, very expensive. You can start on a relatively simple budget for starting as a freelance copywriter, but that doesn't mean there's not going to be some things you need to do to invest in your business. And one of them could be there's going to be fees to process payments one way or another. And so with a wire transfer fee, what you're also going to do is, first of all, I'm not a tax professional or anything like that, but most likely you will find that those fees are all part of deductible expenses in your business. This is another reason to have a business account because it's very easily trackable of what those expenses are. And also you build that into your project fee. You know that there's going to be certain expenses. Maybe you're getting something transcribed for your client. Maybe you're using some other software system that you're going to be implementing. Maybe you're going to have a wire transfer fee, right? And so you're going to make sure that your fee covers these kinds of things, that you're thinking about that bottom line of what your profit margin is going to be. And the great news is, with especially as a freelance copywriter, your profit margins, especially if you're starting as a solopreneur on your own, can be quite generous, and that there really isn't a whole a vast array of expenses to be able to be a freelance copywriter and deliver the copy to your clients. And so the margins, as it's called, are very, very good for a freelance copywriter. You don't have a lot of other high ticket expenses. So be able to take wire transfers and for the fees that are coming into you and accept the fact and joyously celebrate the fact that you may be charged something like $10 or $15 from the bank for accepting that wire transfer. No biggie, right? And that when you see that money coming in, it's just a really great feeling to know that it's arriving in that way. Now, the other thing that you can do is have your clients send the check. And I recommend they send a cashier's check, that it isn't a personal check by any means, and not even a business check until you know them, or if you already know them, until you've established some level of trust that you're fine with that happening. But if you are going to take it that way, then you should have it delivered by FedEx or UPS overnight. That's their expense to take on to deliver it to you so that you have it within 24 hours. And most banks now, depending on the level of the size of that check, you may be able to do an electronic deposit, not even have to go to the bank these days. And so if it's very, very large, you may have to go to the bank, because there's a limit on how much you can do depending on your business account. But you also need a business account if you want to become eventually an LLC or an S Corp, for example. And so this is an LLC is another form of having a business license, so to speak. And to open that business account, you're going to need that also. And so, but you can start by just doing business as. Again, I'm not a tax advisor or a legal advisor, anything like that. But you want to have that just so that you can grow in your business. I started off as doing business as solo entrepreneur. Then I went to an LLC, and then I went to an S Corp. And so these are all things you can decide along the way. You don't need to know on day one, but you do need a business account, because the other thing you're going to do is track your revenue and expenses easily, right? Not some complicated process. And eventually in your business, you're probably going to outsource certain things. Maybe you already are. So you're going to have, perhaps you're going to have an accountant and bookkeepers or a team that takes care of these things for you. And they're going to be able to track the things through your business account. So I really, every once in a while I show this on video. This is the actual way that I used to do my taxes. It's just like embarrassing, really. I mean, it's all grubby and yeah, you can see through it. And I literally was like running this down a page of numbers and usually crying at some point in the day of 3 or 4 days of tax prep to get the numbers ready to give to a tax preparer. And I keep this. I literally keep this ruler just to remind me of why you start outsourcing and why you do certain things to grow your business sooner rather than later. So don't do the green ruler method of tax accounting. I recommend that as well. So because again, it will be easier for you to prepare your taxes and have all the numbers ready to go when you have a business account. And that means you're going to separate your personal expenses from business. So you may have two bank accounts, one for your regular daily activities, the things that are just normal things like going to the grocery store or that type of thing. And you're going to have a business account. But I will say that if you work with a professional tax preparer, for example, you may discover that there's a lot of things in your business that can be deducted as business expenses. Again, I'm not a professional tax preparer, anything like that, but you may be surprised at how many things can actually be expensed out. And so when you pay those things through your business account, it makes that way easier to do. And this is another great thing about being entrepreneurial. And the smart thing is to be thinking this way of how you'll be doing your taxes. I definitely recommend that you not try to do them all by yourself, because you're probably going to miss something. And so when it comes to your annual tax prep, I did always have someone else do them. At least I did that, but I had such a clunky, terrible way of doing it for far too long. And so I recommend you start thinking this way sooner rather than later. And I think I already showed this, but I'm going to say it again, or at least I said it: get paid with overnight checks and wires. That is the best way. Take it from me, from doing this since 2004, that this is a very, very effective way to be getting paid your fees. Now, sometimes the question comes up, well, what about credit cards? When it comes to credit cards, first of all, you're going to need a processor. So you might want to look at Stripe. That's one that a lot of entrepreneurs use, and it's easy to get signed up with them. Some payment processors for taking credit cards have very much higher rigorous requirements for you to be able to get enrolled with them, for example. But the other thing is, with taking credit cards, you're probably going to use them more if you have a product or a program, or an initial payment on a bigger program, like a few $1,000s, that type of thing. I don't recommend that you count on your clients paying you with credit cards on a regular basis. There's a lot of reasons for that. Things like chargebacks that they, it can be a real hassle if someone decides, well, I just decided, I'll just say that unfortunately, there are people that use their credit cards in that way to obtain something and then say to their bank, well, I didn't get the thing. And so it's called a chargeback, and the bank will take the money back and ask questions later. And then you go through a rigorous process of proving things, and you still might not get what you would, what the results should be from that. So I don't recommend that you count on credit cards. Sometimes you can use things like it just went right out of my head. With a bank transfer. So there's ways to do that as well, but those are also usually limited to smaller amounts, like $5,000, something like that might be a daily limit. So when you start getting into higher fees, you want to make sure you have a way to really move the money around and be able to get paid the way you should. Okay. And so on to my brain just went blank. It'll come to me in a minute. This is the joy of doing live video. You're just going to have those moments, but let's move on to number 3, build your perimeter of power. Now, what do I mean by that? This is why, again, from day one, remember, we're not a hobby, you're a business. And so you want to create your own foundation of power. And so it can be everything from the words you use and how you market yourself. Like, don't approach it like you're looking for a job. Don't approach it like you're hoping to be chosen for the job. Maybe they will hire you. I mean, I just basically suggest you lose all that kind of terminology and really come at this from a place of power. Even if you're just getting started and thinking, well, I'm not sure I feel very powerful, then you're going to do the work to become powerful in your own mind. And this is part of the mindset, the work of mindset. It's a whole other topic, but the messages you're telling yourself, what you are saying to yourself each day: I am a powerful entrepreneur. I am a powerful business person. That if you even just start telling yourself those things every single day, you start creating new neural pathways, and you're reinforcing a different way of thinking than you maybe used to think, what I call the habits of thought, the old ways that you might have always thought of yourself, that you're becoming a different person when you start your online business, when you become a freelance copywriter, whatever you might be doing online, you're probably becoming a different person than you used to be by the fact that you're doing this in the first place. So all of those things, building your perimeter of power. So how do you do that? Well, you own your time and your money. Both of those things, very, very important. So with time, it can be as simple as don't take phone calls unexpectedly unless you have a plan and a process for exactly how you do that. It isn't just, hello, oh, you want to talk about a product launch? Well, well, my child is clinging to my leg crying, or the dog just threw up in the living room, and you're not ready. You're not ready to have those kinds of conversations, and you're too accessible if you allow that to be the case of how someone speaks with you. So building a perimeter of power can be as simple as you need to book a call. You have a paid consultation. You have a free consultation. They have to book on your calendar. These types of things, not just waiting by the phone kind of mentality. So that's the beginning, the very beginning of owning your time, and then owning your money. So what does that mean? So what do you desire for annual revenue? So one of the things that I find is really frequently, especially with new copywriters, is you approach it just like really kind of willy-nilly, happenstance, whatever happens, happens. And then there's also the mindset that I couldn't possibly charge very much for what I'm doing because I'm new or I'm just learning. And now you do have to get good. You do have to get the skills. You do have to work on improving your abilities with your marketing strategies and your copywriting skills. But you should start from the very beginning, claiming that for yourself. And again, in your own mind, that you're claiming that for yourself, and you're going to start talking about it as if it already were, instead of I'm getting ready to get ready to get ready, and maybe in a year, maybe in 2 years, maybe this, maybe that. You start from where you're at and you grow from there, but you do it from a place of power from the very beginning. And that means your money. Also, what is it that you would like to make every single year, or at least start at? What do you desire to have for annual revenue? Have you thought about that yet? Or is it just kind of a vague, vaporous cloud of maybe this and maybe that? And I heard someone else did this and I hope I can do that too. We're not operating on hopium here. We're operating on a plan, an actual plan. And so we don't want to leave this to luck or happenstance, because that's just like saying, I don't have enough power. I don't have enough personal power to be able to create this plan for myself. I'm just going to hope and pray that something great happens. And you want to be able to work in partnership with your divine source and know that that abundance is there for you. But you need to make it happen by making a plan. You need to be the co-creator of this and not just leave it up to whatever happens, happens. So we need a number, right? And I'm looking at my calculator over here, but I know I'm not a mathematician or anything. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a tax advisor. I'm not a mathematician. I don't have a college degree, but a lot of folks would love to get, and maybe you're one of them, that six-figure mark, right? It's kind of the magic number to make $100,000 a year. When you break that down with a calculator, it's an awkward number, okay? But we're going to deal with it the best we can. So I want to also just emphasize that these are all kind of, in Spanish, we say más o menos when we lived in Mexico, more or less, plus or minus. And so approximento, that it's approximately the numbers that I'm going to share with you today. And again, no income claims. Maybe you'll never do a darn thing, but we're at least going to take a look at the numbers of what it would look like. So first thing you're going to think about is, what do you need to average a month to make $100,000? Now, so you become the captain of the ship kind of thing here, but we reverse engineer. We're going to start with the end in mind, and we're going to work back to what would this look like. So what do you need to average per month? Have you actually done the math on this to make $100,000 a year? Well, here's the awkward number. It's approximately $8,333 and change. And so I think it comes out to, well, let's just look. $8,333 times 12 months equals $99,996. So we're just $4 off. And so I think you can add in some kind of a project somewhere along the way to get to that nice round number of $100,000. Because, I mean, if you're only $4 away, you want to get to six figures. Okay. But just for the sake of this, is approximately what it would take. $8,333 a month for 12 months. Maybe that sounds like a lot right now for some of you. Maybe that doesn't sound like a lot right now. Maybe your goal is 2 times, 5 times, 10 times this. That's great. You can still use the same method to get there. Of what would it take to make $250,000 a year? What would it make to make $500,000 a year? What would it take to make $1 million a year? And just reverse engineer it, right? And see where you need to be. So, okay, we've got our $8,333 a month times 12 months. Now, how many hours a week do you desire to work? most of the times when we start our entrepreneurial endeavors, we're not thinking, boy, I cannot wait to work 40 or 60 hours a week. That's not exactly what we had in mind, because when we want to be entrepreneurial, and especially as freelance copywriters, it's so possible. I'll show you how in just a couple minutes here, but it's so entirely possible. I mean, I kind of felt like, gee, don't tell my clients that I only have to work part-time to do this, because once you learn the skills and get them dialed in, there really isn't any reason, unless you're just like obsessed with how big you can grow financially, that there's really no reason for you to be having to work 40 hours a week, right? And so let's just say, because we also want lifestyle freedom, we want financial freedom, and we want lifestyle freedom, right? So let's just take a nice round number. Let's make it 20 hours a week. Now, again, there's nuances to this, the actual hours per month based on this many hours and working days, whatever. We're just going to keep it simple. 4-week month, 5-day week, Monday through Friday. We're just kind of looking at it in the traditional way. Let's just say about 20 hours a week. Does that sound good? Like half time and get to 6 figures? Most people think that sounds pretty good, just all by itself, because time, I have a whole lesson on this, but time is actually more valuable than money. Having the time to do the things you want to do, time to be with your family, time to be with yourself, time to enjoy life, time to rest and have recreation and enjoy other aspects besides what your calling is with the work that you do. That allows a lot more time that's super valuable to you. So a half-time kind of goal can be a very great goal. So let's just break it down. $8,333 a month at 20 hours a week based on a 4-week month. Okay, following the math, that's $2,083 a week, again, approximately. So $2,083 a week. Okay, that's starting to sound even more manageable. Might still sound like a lot to some. Might not sound like enough to others, but again, let's just look at the 6-figure mark. So 20 hours a week to make that is approximately $105 an hour. So see, we just keep breaking down the reverse engineering, $105 an hour. Okay. Well, depending on what you've been doing, does that sound like a lot? Does it sound like a lot or not? You decide that for yourself, but $105 an hour. Okay. So now remember, we're working 20 hours a week, 105 averaging, because entrepreneurial life isn't a straight line. There's fluctuations, there's ups and downs. There's going to be other time involved in research. There's lots of little nuances and variations, but again, we're just getting the big picture right now. So I want you to consider this, okay? As you're thinking about making this level of money to make 6 figures a year, how do you desire to make $8,333 a month? So let's look at the different ways you might be making that. Well, you could do one project per month, very reasonable to do a good sized copywriting project, especially if you're a funnel copywriter. If you're writing for all the components of a marketing funnel, that would mean you're writing the opt-in, you're writing email sequences, both nurturing and selling emails, promotional emails. You're writing some kind of a sales page. You might be writing a video script. You might be doing an aspect of the sales letter that becomes a webinar. There's different components, right? And so first of all, let me tell you, $8,333 for a project of writing for a funnel is very reasonable from the entrepreneur side, from the consumer side, from the person that is hiring you to do it in the first place. I can tell you from almost 20 years of experience that marketers are going to say that is a bargain, okay? Because remember, my copywriting fees are in the 6-figure range, okay? So keep that in mind as far as the context of this, that $8,333 for one project a month, something you can do in 4 weeks, very reasonable from the consumer side if you're dealing with the right type of audience that is ready and willing to invest in their own marketing. And there's a way to get there too, okay? So that's one. All right, or let's take a look at this. You could do 2 projects a month for approximately $4,167 each. That's very awkward, so I would probably say $4,200, but just approximately $4,167. But now you've got 2 projects a month. That means you're dealing with 2 different clients. That means you're having to decide which project you're writing for on which day so that you can get both of those projects done in 1 month, okay? Then you could consider, well, I'm not feeling like I can charge all that much. And so what if it was $100 each for something that you're writing for 84 projects a month? 84. That's 84 different people you'd have to deal with. That's 84 conversations plus, because you're not going to close every single client conversation you have. And we didn't really factor that in, but you're going to be speaking to some additional people to get to that one, speaking to some additional people to get to the two, and you're going to be speaking to a lot of people to get to 84, okay? Because it wouldn't be 84 people, 84 conversations that all said yes, right? It might be 100 conversations. It might be 120 conversations. Are you getting the picture? Whew, I'm tired just talking about it, okay? But the thing is, this is how a lot of new copywriters are pricing themselves, with these little teeny weeny projects, thinking that that's what they have to do. And I just want you to think about this right now. Which sounds easier? Which sounds faster? Which sounds like less hassle for you? Which sounds like a client that's ready to do something, instead of a bare bones beginner that really isn't prepared to do anything with what you're doing with writing copy for them, right? Is this making sense? Okay. Do I need to slow down? Because this is why you need to start with the end in mind, because it's the good news and sort of the bad news of, if you're pricing yourself so low of what it's going to take to move out of the barely scraping by level and starting to have a viable business, one that can support you, one that allows you that lifestyle freedom, one that allows you to be able to do the things you desire to do in life besides work. Right? So this is also why you need to think bigger from day one. Think bigger from the day you say, I'm becoming a freelance copywriter. I am becoming an online entrepreneur. I am starting my own business. From the day that you say that, even think the thought, you need to start thinking bigger, start looking at the numbers. Know your numbers. They say that, you hear that all the time, but truly you need to know them, so you know what you're aiming at. You know how you're going to get there, and you may not know all the how yet, but you have a plan, and you start visualizing that plan, and you start totally embracing emotionally, mentally, spiritually the fact that ideal clients are going to cross your path, and that these are going to be your fees at this level, because you don't want to buy yourself another job. Okay. And if you don't get your fees in the right place, if you don't understand how the numbers work, that's exactly what you're going to be doing. So number 4, we're going to create your scalable client attraction plan. You're going to start thinking about, how am I going to encounter the clients? How am I going to have people in my world that are willing and able to pay my fees at that level? And again, these are just prototype numbers, but to show you how you get there and really how achievable it is. So the first thing about that is, you're not going to chase. When people talk about, how can I find them? I've got to go find them, find. No, you're not going to chase. You're not, oh my goodness, all this cold calling thing, the programs that teach, send out 500 cold emails a month and all this. I have never done it. I want you to understand, I have never done that, ever. From day one, I never did any kind of cold calling or cold outreach ever. And I still don't to this day. And so, because what I did and what I still do and what I recommend you do is attract ideal clients through your messaging. Attract them. You put up the signal, shine the spotlight, have the light that's beaming in on, like a lighthouse, that allows the ship to find you in the fog, right? To be able to clarify and show up. And so how do you do that? You do that by being consistent, being helpful, being present, being findable. Now, what do I mean by these? Be consistent. Consistently do an activity every day that, think of it in terms of the high ticket type activity. What action can you take? What will move the needle in your business? What lever can you pull that's going to build that foundation in your business that is eventually worth X amount of dollars? And so you can divide your thinking up into, is this like a $15 an hour kind of task, or is this like $100 an hour kind of task, or is this $1,000 an hour? And maybe right now $1,000 an hour seems like, oh wow, what if I could do that? But when you break it down, again, reverse engineer that $1,000, it could be that 15 minutes of your time could equal $250 coming into your business, right? So you're going to choose activities that allow that to happen. And so that can happen by being helpful when you're having conversations, by showing up in groups and in forums, by showing up at events, by being helpful in comments that might be coming onto your Facebook page or your LinkedIn profile or wherever you might be hanging out on social media, by being present, by being actively present every day with how you project your message, how you're sharing what you do, how you're talking about what you do. Not, you're not going to attract clients by sitting quietly in the shadows saying, I can't ever turn on a camera. I couldn't possibly be on a Zoom call. Oh, I couldn't talk to anybody in person. A lot of entrepreneurs, including myself, in a lot of ways are rather introverted. We work by ourselves. Here's my little kingdom. When I'm writing, I'm sitting in this office by myself writing. I don't listen to music while I write. I'm one of those people that likes to work in silence because it's all happening here. And I don't need or desire to have outside activity going on around me. Some people need to have the music or whatever. You will choose how you do this, but you need to be findable and approachable, even virtually. Okay. So how do you do that? Well, here's some ways. You can post regularly, participate with whatever social media platform you're on, post regularly, not once a year, not once every 6 months, not 2 years ago. And yes, this can be challenging. There is work involved with this process. I'm not saying this is all just going to come just like, the sparkles are falling on your head from the fairy dust from the clouds. You need to do the work. And that means you post regularly. You make a plan so that wherever you decide to post regularly, that you might be, you're posting an article, you might be starting a conversation, but you might be using a quote and then talking about what you think about that, or a book you read and what you think about that, sharing who you are visibly so that people can read or hear or see exactly where you're coming from. Join groups. It could be Facebook communities. It could be something on LinkedIn. It could be something in your community. It could be an organization, whatever it might be for you, that are related to the niches you want to work in or what you have or what you do. Now, if you join a copywriting groups, for example, and you're a copywriter, you're probably not going to find a client that way. You might learn things, but you're probably not going to attract clients because everybody's there for the same reason. So maybe you would love to work with chiropractors, or you would love to work with horse trainers, or you would love to work in a dog related industry, or you would love to work with moms or people that are dealing with certain physical challenges, whatever that may be, or certain age groups, whatever that may be. Find communities or groups or organizations where that is going on and join them and become a part of that. Groups that need marketing, right? Groups that need to, people that are in it that need to market what they do. Engage in conversation, both online and offline, on Zoom calls, in person, at live events. And if you attend live events, now we're getting back to that now. There was kind of a long hiatus there where many of us were not going to live events, or they simply weren't allowed to even happen. But now that part's all coming back to life. So attend live events and do it with a plan, not just randomly going thinking, I'll just sit here and I'll buy a program at the end of this. Go to events that support what you do. Now, as a copywriter, hey, Funnel Hacking Live, I don't make any money from this at all, but that just happens to be a big event. There's many others, traffic and conversion. There's lots of big events, but that's like, if you're a funnel copywriter, that's going to be a room full of 5,000 plus people, somewhere in that range, that all need copy for marketing funnels. Okay. And it's how I'm such a passionate supporter of live events and how you network at them. Some people hate the word networking, but the thing is, one of the reasons that I am is because that's how I started with Gary Bencivenga's event, Bencivenga 100. It was in New York City in 2005, I think it was. Wow, it's starting to sound like a long time ago. But that event was like a catalyst for me. It was like a launch pad that just from the people I met at that event, it initially was 40,000, then it was 80,000, then it was 100,000, until it went to $500,000 of projects within a year that I could trace back to going to that one event. That the return on investment for going to events can be huge if you go with a plan. And I'll talk more about that in another time. Just that one thing alone is worth a whole entire video all to itself, because it's been such a prolific way for me in my business to be able to create revenue, and still is to this day, the people you're hanging out with, right? But be helpful. Don't go with that grasping, I need to get a client. It's so obvious, that it's just like, you really truly need to have a heart of service, and truly be interested in the people you're talking to, and be thinking about what little tidbits even that you could add to the conversation. It would be helpful to them. And mind the terms of service for whatever organization or group you might be participating in. Don't go against them and get yourself kicked out, right? And don't go in and start a conversation thinking, I'm going to get people to talk to me about this because I want to sell them this thing. Think instead of what conversation can you join that's already going on where you could just be helpful. And don't do the, DM me if you want to know, that kind of stuff. This is why you're going to get yourself ready to go with step 5, which is, well, you can start with writing a compelling LinkedIn about page for yourself. You need to have your social media platforms, whatever you're participating in, really polished to a high gloss. Because when you are participating in any kind of a group or online, when you're posting, what's the normal reaction that many people have is going to be click on your name. They're going to want to look at and see, well, who is this person? Or that was interesting. Or I kind of loved his approach to this. Or she really had some smart ideas about that. I'm going to go check her out. Right. And they're going to look at your profiles, your pages. And so you want to have LinkedIn all nice and shiny. You want to have Facebook all nice and shiny, your profiles, wherever it may be. You decide where you want to be doing all of that. So because, for example, writing on your LinkedIn About page, you think about it in terms of doing it for yourself and then for clients, right? All of these things are leverage points and that people will pay for as far as for a copywriter, that whatever you're writing for yourself can become a doorway to writing that particular piece for a client. And that the chances are many people in that whatever social media platform you're in need that. They need those extra elements. And so you want to be able to provide those services. And the way you're going to provide services is by showing your own in fine form. So it's very important. Again, remember, first client, remember who that is? Say me. Okay. I can't see you right now, but just say me. I'm the first client. And that's why everything you write needs to be supporting that, because the eyeballs on your writing are going to be, it's like a billboard for what you do. That's what it is. So you're going to do that. You're going to get your Facebook profile ready to go. These are 2 very common areas that people are going to look where you're going to be findable. And that's exactly what you need to be, because you want to clearly state when you're doing any kind of bio for yourself or writing out the who you are kind of a thing, you want to clearly state who you serve. I work with chiropractors, I work with entrepreneurs, I work with baby boomers, I work with dog trainers, whatever it may be, and what you do for them. So who you serve and what you do for them, and you want that to be everywhere. Where should this be? Everywhere. Anywhere that you are participating in public, on social media, whatever that might be, you want to be super, super clear about what you do and who your ideal people are. Now, sometimes when we first start as copywriters, we think, oh, everybody is my client, but you'll quickly find that everybody isn't your client. Everybody isn't going to be willing or able to pay the fees that you charge. Everybody isn't going to be in a niche market that you believe in or choose to write for. Everybody isn't going to be a good fit just for other aspects of, do you click with this person? See, here's the thing. There's so many copywriters that approach this like they're getting a job. And really it needs to be approached like, I choose my clients. This is your perimeter of power. Remember, I choose my clients. I'm in the fortunate position to be able to choose my clients and choose who I will work with. You only have a finite amount of time. You're going to spend it with, you're going to invest it in clients that are a good fit. And so again, this is more mindset aspect that you're going to get dialed in and know that you're not for everybody, but you don't need everybody. Remember the numbers. 1 project a month could take you to $100,000 a year. 1 client a month is only 12 clients a year. It's not 500. It's not 1,000. It's not even 25, right? It's surprising when you get your fees in the right place, how few clients you actually need to be able to create a very, very big income for yourself. And starting with your 6-figure mark, right? Because as you get better, as your skills develop, you can raise your fees and you don't need to wait years to do it. This is why I also do not put your fees on a website. Do not, hold up the sign that's saying, well, this much for this and this much for that. Do not commoditize yourself. I'm giving you some extra tips here beyond the 7, but don't become the commodity of just, hire me. Here's what I charge for this. You'll get this many emails for this. You need to move into value. What the results are that people get from working with you. It's not about the process. It's about the results. It's about results in advance of them being able to get a clear picture of what can happen for them when you write their copy, because you also bring strategy to the table. So anyway, this is a whole other deal. I can't help myself. But so, okay, we already talked about that. So then you're going to focus on connecting. And initially it might be LinkedIn, might be Facebook, wherever it might be. Focus on connecting with people. Again, this is part of kind of the networking aspect. You're not chasing. Oh, please do not be the person that sends out a friend request or a connection request. And the very first thing when that person accepts it, you do is say, hey, this is me, and I can do this for you, and you need this, and would you be interested in? Oh my goodness, that is, for me, that's just an instant. You're gone. You're already gone. You know, I mean, I take a look at the connection requests I get, and I take a look at what I just said. I'll look at their site. I'll look at their profile. I'll look at their page. And and I can kind of get the feel for, oh, you help high level coaches get even more clients by having call setters and closers, and you want to be a friend with me. And 9 times out of 10, if I accept it, the very first message is, oh, I'm so interested in what you do. By the way, we have people who can do this, that, and the other. Could you set up a call? And I don't even answer those. They're gone. That's it. Bye. I made a mistake to connect with you in the first place. And that's as far as it goes. I posted something recently on Facebook where someone had written to me and actually forgot to take out a piece of their spammy script of what they were supposed to be saying to me on a message. Actually, it was in writing in a DM, and it was actually there in parentheses. They say something pertinent to this particular person. You know, it was their instruction in their script. They forgot to take it out when they sent their first message to me. So I did share it with the world. I did blur out their name, so I didn't really want to throw them under the wheels of the bus directly, but it got a lot of response because it was just so like, oh my gosh, just the worst thing ever. Don't do that. You know, you want to connect authentically. Look for people to connect with that you might actually be interested in what they have, or maybe you went to the same university, or you both have golden retrievers, or you both love marathon running. You know, something that you might see that's like a connecting point that you can start that conversation with, and just be present in reality and not like, I just want to sell you something, because that just comes through loud and clear. So let's see, where are we? Yeah, and then focus on connecting. Okay, that's where we are, number 7, because doing these things, this isn't even about yet how to write a headline or any of that. This is about setting the foundation for your journey forward in your business. There are things that I didn't know when I started. There are things I wish I had known sooner when I started. Remember that? Okay, enough said there. and that by doing this, you start taking yourself seriously. And that's essential. The mindset aspect of this is critical to your success. I see too many new copywriters who are just kind of milling around, not really having a plan, not really valuing what they do can mean to their clients, the long-term return on investment their clients can get by having a great elements of copy written for a funnel that can live online for years, making them money. And yet the copywriter is charging this little tiny fee while the client is going far, far, far beyond that, literally making hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars with that copy. And so you do need to get your fees at a level. And I'm telling you that $8,333 level for a complete funnel package is very, very entry level reasonable. Okay. And so I'm just looking at very reasonable conservative numbers today. I hope that that's helpful to you, because bonus tip number 8, be smart, be good, be fast, learn to write faster, be the person who can do the things so that you can have the successful business you desire. You need to become that person. You need to be that person. And by being smart and strategic, by getting good with working with mentors, working with coaches, getting yourself into whatever you need to do to be able to advance your skills, your skill set, your tool set, and your mindset. Be the person that can do it more easily until you become proficient. And that means you'll be writing faster. That means you have more time for yourself, and your clients will be getting their copy. And be that person who can do these things so that you can have the result. You have to be the person first. It isn't just doing the things so that maybe you'll be the person and maybe you'll have the result. You have to fully embrace being that person right from the beginning, and then doing the things so that you have the results. And that's how you get there. So I hope if this is helpful to you that you'll show up. I do these every week. I focus on one particular area that could build your business, your mindset, your copywriting skills. And if this is helpful to you, I would appreciate you subscribing or following or liking or hitting whatever bells or buttons allow you to do that. And comment. If you're watching this as a recording, I would really appreciate seeing your comments there as well. Again, hope this was helpful to you. Build that business on a foundation. Let me just look really quick at the comments. Looks like I got a whole bunch. I'm kind of keeping my eye on the clock too, because I have a coaching call to get to. But it's like, all right, let's just see. Pat's saying the critiques that she's getting from me, making her a stronger writer. That's in one of my programs. Awesome. And we have Brenda speaking to a potential client at 3 o'clock today. Go get him, Brenda. And and this person says the idea of cold calling makes me ill. Good, Sarah. Just follow that. You don't need to do that at all. No need to have the queasulations going on. And yes, you absolutely can announce that you're copywriters. Absolutely. Start owning it right from the beginning. You are. Even if you're writing one element of copy for a client, you're a freelance copywriter. That's the thing. All right. And that's taking yourself seriously. Sarah had a lot to say. This hits hard. Yep. You got to do that, Sarah. You got to do it. You got to believe in yourself or no one else is going to. And can you have two businesses going out at the same time? Yes, you can. Yeah. You just have different messaging for them, different sites. That's another question we can look at another time. And let's see, anybody else that we need to take a look at here? Well, I've got lots of comments and just good to see all of you. And that's for, I think that's it. So thanks so much for being here today. I got to go. I have a live coaching call to do. My team laughs at me when I say, I'm going to keep this to just like 20 minutes today. And I was like, yeah, all right, Tina, because once I start talking about this, I feel so passionate about it for you that I just want to make sure that you get what you need so that you can create that life-changing business for yourself and impact your clients in the most positive ways as well. So that's it for today. Until next time, thanks again for being here. Love to read your comments. So I hope you'll continue to add them even on the replay. And I will talk to you again soon.